is that like we would see an IED emplacer who's got a $5 shovel and a damn $10 IED that's made out of damn fertilizer, and we blow him up with a $300,000 GBU. You know what I'm saying? Like, holy shit, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hi, welcome back to the 20th episode of 11 Bang Gang. So this is actually a live, so if this seems jumbulated, then forgive us because you're hearing it if you're listening to it as a podcast after the fact. So a couple things I wanted to start off with. I got Gary here. Hitman. Yeah, I got Hitman back from, I don't remember what episode that was, but it was only a couple ago. But anyway, okay. So I got some housekeeping things I need to talk about real quick, and we're not gonna like do like a lot of crazy individual stuff on this one. We're just gonna talk about some like current events and stuff, just some stuff I want to talk about. I want to mix things up, you know. I say I'm apolitical on the podcast, and that's still true, but you know, some of this stuff is just stuff I just kind of want to hit on and do something different. But all right, first of all, the 2-4 reunion. So all the guys that listening from 2-4. So I told Barker I was going to put this on the podcast. So Corpus Christi, Texas, 24th to the 27th of September of this year. The annual reunions for all the 2-4 guys, children and families are welcome. They're going to have events. There's a whole event calendar. There's only 200 slots. You can donate if you can't go and you still want to help out. And all that's here. So, yeah, get your tickets because there's only 200 slots. And I think they said they're at like 95, 96, 98 the other day. So anyway, that's that. Okay. There was nothing else there. Oh, Gary, give a quick synopsis of you. Let's hear a little bit about you. You were in the Army. You were an officer, right?
Yeah, so don't hold that against me too much. But yeah, yeah. I actually came in 90, infantry officer, light infantry, 25th ID. But I switched over to military intelligence once I hit captain, and then after 10 years of active duty, I switched over to the reserves and did another 18 in the reserves. So that's kind of the quick. I did deploy, so that kind of a quick down and dirty on me.
Okay. So, man, when you were doing did you participate in Desert Storm, or did you join a little early for that?
I was actually, yeah, I was at Benning going through the officer basic course when I was watching I think it was the 193rd or maybe 197th. Anyway, that separate infantry brigade that was there at Benning, we watched them roll out, packing their stuff up to head over there. And I had orders in my hand to go to 25th ID and called branch and said, I want to go over there. And they said, nope, you're going to have to trade with somebody who's wearing like a 82nd or a 101st patch. And I tried, and they said, nope, we're going. So I was in, but didn't get to go there.
Yeah. I mean, you imagine of how much time had surpassed since like the last conflict. I mean, those guys were probably chomping at the bit, being like, no, we're not sending this dude right here, you know?
Well, and the thing is, though, that and I've talked to guys, and, I was actually, they were sitting over there doing Desert Shield for a long time, sitting there in Saudi Arabia. And then when they finally said, okay, send up the red star cluster, everybody go. I was actually driving across country to put my car in port to go to Hawaii, and it was over with by the time I got to California.
It's a long drive, though.
That's a quick conflict, man. Like my dad, he got activated because he was a reservist, and he said that they got activated, they were getting ready to rock, but he said it was so quick that a lot of units activated and then stood down because it was over.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing, if you look at the last 30 years basically now, it's kind of the way it goes, just like what's happening right now in the world. But, after 9/11 happened too, we go in there and guns blazing and we do a lot of damage. But then after that, just like what's happening now, start to drag and they start getting into thinking about nation building, and that's what ends up taking so long.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that because it's on the list. But all right. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was so check this out. Y'all both been in the military. You, Gary, been an officer. Hitman, you've just been a retard like myself in the lower enlisted ranks. So they're letting Marines now. A dude like saved the Marine Corps a bunch of money, 3D printed like an antenna or something, and the Marine Corps actually let him. Yeah, you seen that? So that's my point. Is like, what do you think about that? The Marine Corps is got the ability to say, okay, my guys are doing what it takes to get the job done. They're saving us money, and we're gonna let them do it. Like, we're gonna change the existing way we do something to let a junior guy have a, you know what I'm saying, have a chance to help us. I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's really cool too, man. Nothing like that would have happened when we were, like back in the day, man.
Yeah. Gary, what do you think?
It was something, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, is that somebody comes up with a cool idea and then it just turns into, can you market it? Can you sell it? I mean, I know guys that they were enlisted or warrant or whatever, and then come up with something like, I don't know who it was. Might have to look that up, but whoever invented the brass deflector for the left-handed shooters, it's just like a little bitty device that, pops it, pop it on there, and it keeps the brass from coming back and hitting you. Somebody thought that up and made lots of money off that.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the military, listening to the junior enlisted guys and just being like, hey, I know it small unit leadership has always been a thing in the military. I always think they've done good about that, but I just thought it was cool to see that happening, man. Like, and
for recognition, and like it shows where not only the Marine Corps but the rest of the military is going, dude.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Do you think have y'all seen some of the, just as an aside that's kind of related, do you see like the it kind of happened in Ukraine where a lot of their soldiers are just building drones on the field. Like, they're just making the parts, dude.
Yeah, that's wild. They like order them or get them in or like, take them off other things. Yeah, that was cool, man. But can you imagine that type of warfare, dude? The trench drone warfare? I cannot, bro. I was like, oh man, I'm glad I beat that, dude. I can't find flying IEDs, dude. That's hard with the dog.
Yeah, Gary, you spent some time in Iraq. Like, what do you think of drone warfare? I mean, what do you think of the evolution of that?
I think it's the way that it's going to go. And, right now, because we all started, some more of my background. I was in the 4th ID at Fort Hood, which was going through the Force 21 stuff in the late 90s. So, we had the Hunter UAV. And then when we actually went out there to NTC to do the Force 21 AWE, we actually had Navy Predators involved, but that was it. Now, man, they got stuff that they can just, soldier takes off and throws it up in the air, and then they got the rotary wing ones now. So, it's gonna, and of course, the thing right now is that all these drones that are being used are all laden with explosives. So somebody's going to have lots of money because you keep making drones.
Yeah.
China's making. I
think it's just a point of not being. Yeah. Okay. The other thing is just not being able to go anywhere. There's nowhere to hide. Yeah. Foxholes don't work anymore. No. You know what I mean? And like that's what and we'll get to it. I'm going to tie this back into something else. Okay, all right. Moving on. I'll let you work on it while I talk about this story. Okay, so all right, the next thing I wanted to talk about was IED. So at MacDill Air Force Base, this happened apparently on I think it was March 10th. So a brother and sister were indicted because the brother, Alan, planted an IED on March 10th at the MacDill Air Force Visitor Center, and the device sat undetected for 6 days. He called 911 on himself to report it, but refused to give the location. Then the device was described as potentially very deadly. Both fled for China on March 12th. They sold their Mercedes to destroy evidence. The car had explosive residue. Alan, still in China, faces 40 years. His sister, she returned to the U.S. She was arrested, faced up to 30 years. And so their group calling themselves the New Weatherman Underground, they sent a video to Tampa Bay Times claiming responsibility. Yeah, so they're like an anti-war, anti-Iran war, anti-deportation. But my thing about this is okay, why would he go back to China if it's you know what I'm saying? Why did he go? Why did he go back to China if China's not involved? Cause China buys farmland. They've been sending drug dealers over here, dude. If China's not involved with this, then
No, they
what the
definitely
fuck?
are, man. They definitely are. They're involved in everything, but not enough for us to want to get in a war with them.
It could be. I mean, not disagreeing with you on that one, but just another possibility is it's go to China because then the United States says, "Hey, give us this guy." China's like, "Yeah, we'll think about it." Kind of non-extradition.
Yeah. Now, Gary, are you aware? I mean, I know you worked in intelligence a long time ago, and I don't know if you keep up with some of the crazy off the wall stuff, but are you aware of is the Chinese farmland buying around military bases a conspiracy, or is that something that holds legit water?
Well, I know that they are. Let me rephrase that. We know that you can look at public records and you'll see that this land that happens to be close to, let's say, like Fort Campbell, was purchased, and you can look and find out, is this a legit or is it a front company for Chinese? And a lot of times they'll find that it is Chinese, but now what it is that they're actually really going to try to do with it, that's where you get into the conspiracy of. But it's not too far off because look at what they did with the weather balloon when the last administration.
Right. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm just it could be, but that didn't even make the news. I don't remember seeing that. Did either y'all remember seeing that on the news?
Which one? The what you're talking about now?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, the weather balloon made bigger news.
Yeah, but I can tell you that if you're down, I'm down here in Houston, Texas, and area, and Texas, the governor is actually, and the legislation is actually putting a bill out there where they're going to pass it so that Chinese cannot own the land. Don't know how successful they're going to do with that, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they're successful in that.
Yeah, that might, but who knows? I mean, the thing is I'm not opposed to listen, here's what happens with, I work in the chicken business. If anybody's listening to this that on the live, I'm a chicken farmer, so commercial poultry farmer though. But we have Vietnamese and Burmese that come all the time. They come over from Vietnam. They buy a damn farm. They have no idea what they're doing. The service rep has to teach them how to start a tractor. I get that we have immigrants that come over here and don't know shit and they do stuff. It's just, man, that was, I do know that there are cases where we have immigrants who come over here, go to college and try to steal secrets. So but whether they work for the state is the question, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Al Qaeda's working in the U.S. right now. They say they got over 10,000 sleepers here in country right now.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Well, it's probably a lot more. That's good.
Yeah.
The question though really turns into is, how well trained, how smart are they? Because I mean, we've seen like the guys trying to do a pressure cooker bomb at the Boston Marathon, and recently this guy went up there and threw an IED. A lot of those are not well made. Let's just say it that way.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think the last homemade bomb that was really well made in the US was, probably the Boston bombing, as far as like well made IED.
Before that, it was, what was it? The Timothy McVeigh, yeah, right? Is it Kansas City? Was that what it was?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, you're right, Gary.
Yeah, he blew up that half building, dude. I'm glad that's not happening.
It blew the face off the building.
Yeah, dude, that's wild.
Yeah, but also remember, we're the ones who trained him to do that, not the external organization.
From military, he was, yeah, it happens.
Did he really?
Yeah, but he was a ranger, dude. I think, or he was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then he just like turned, But that's the thing. Like, if all these guys are here secretly and they're like trying to be undetected, like, what are they learning while they're here? What jobs are they doing? What access do they have?
Well, I will say, as an aside to that, I did hear somebody who said that they worked with people who, like, in the FBI who found people like that. And they said more often than not, when you find some of those sleeper cells, at least half of them have already defected, because he said they get over here and they realize this place ain't half fucking bad. And then they leave the organization, but they just hide.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But that makes sense too. I mean, some places are a little bit more accessible here than they are in the mountains of Afghanistan. So, yeah.
No shit. Can you imagine coming back from Iraq or Afghanistan to over here and then being like, we want you to blow yourself up after you've been here like 5 years and you got a girlfriend and shit? You're like, nah, bro.
I love Walmart.
Yeah, most of the time what you find is, they're sending somebody over there. They've got leverage on them. They got their family. It's like, if you don't blow yourself up, we're gonna, kill your family.
Yeah. I mean, I never really thought about leverage. That's a good idea. Damn.
I really haven't thought about it that much either, to be fair. I was like, no, that tracks, man. That's probably exactly it. The mule to do it, like, so like, why wouldn't it happen that way?
And again, it kind of goes back into the IQ level of the guys as well, because it's like they're trying to sit there and say, look, if you blow yourself up, we will make sure that your family is taken care of for the rest of their life. And so the guy goes, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then it's like, dude, once you're gone, why do you think that they're going to keep their word?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. All right. So next topic is Joe Kent. All right. So for the people listening to the live that don't know who Joe Kent is, I had to listen to a whole couple. I've heard him on 3 different podcasts now, so I feel like I have a good grasp on what Kent's story is. So Kent was a Green Beret who did like 9 combat tours. His wife worked something in the military. She was killed in Syria, part of some strike on a base, and but she was killed. So he's a Gold Star husband. He was the head of intelligence for the Gary, what organization he worked for?
I was actually, I did a real quick, Google grok search on it too. And so he was at the National Counterterrorism Center.
That's right.
Nice.
Right. So then he doesn't agree he thinks that Iran wasn't an imminent threat. And so he basically stepped down in protest. He resigned, essentially, wrote a letter, and he said he can't, as a good faith American, keep this job. So because of what we're doing in Iran. Now, on the podcast, I will go a little bit further. He basically point is we have no plan. Like, we're going in, we're doing all these strikes, and we're basically doing a war for Israel. Now, he's not like an Israel hater, so I'm not gonna say that, but but he did. Yeah. So, yeah, y'all give y'all's impressions on that. I gotta walk away for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Well, I'll go first and say, okay, I'll go first. Then, my first initial thing was this: is it's like, I know he's a warrant officer, and any soldier, doesn't matter what the rank is, though. When we say, hey, you learn this in the military, that the commander is the one who makes the decision. So he can have his opinion and say, I don't think they're an imminent threat, but the commander's the one who is really the person who gets to make that call.
Yeah, I really think it tells a lot, though. Someone with that kind of background, and then also like that type of access to like counterterrorism, files and information, and, stuff like that. It's really tough.
But the problem though is that, like you just said it though, for that access, it's like, well, with the way intelligence works, anybody knows it's like you got the different caveats that you get read onto. So nobody's got the whole picture. You just got parts of the picture. So I really question whether, well, yeah. And the thing is that he was in the National Counterintelligence Center. So when you're talking about a domestic foreign policy,
right.
Don't know that he really was read in on, they have a plan. He just doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's some sort of plan. It scares me that it's not going to be a good one. It's because I don't want any of these young guys to suffer more, man. War sucks, and it's a necessity for us to do this, but it's some of these young kids, man. Like, we got to raise the age for this or something. All these babies, man.
Yeah. So, all right. So, I'm sure y'all probably talked about the why or what he was talking about. Like, I'm going to say I agree with what Joe is doing. The question is whether what the alternative we had. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I get it, Kent, and I don't disagree with the fact that he said that Iran, he said it. He was like, Iran's proxies have attacked us. So that's why, in my opinion, I'm like, okay, I really don't care that he, I don't care that we struck Iran, but the question is, I don't want to go in the ground. I don't want to put like 100,000 troops. I just don't think we got the manpower.
Yeah. And even if we did, it's just going to be, and there's going to be a lot of fodder, man.
Well, this ties into the thing we were talking about earlier, though. Everything that we're watching has become more of drone. So it's like they're getting to that point to where it's like we ain't got to put guys in there because, we got drones and stuff like that. But
it has changed. I mean, it's just, go ahead. I didn't interrupt, man.
Kind of broke up there, but what I was going to say is it's like, now you got to the point where, everybody's saying is that, well, you don't own the ground till you put boots on it. I agree with that 100%. But the thing we got to ask right now is that do we really need to, quote unquote, own the ground? I mean, if we've blown everything off of it, do we really want it?
Yeah, I do agree with that, Gary. I think that if we could here's what I support. I support if we can do a regime change, because the problem is they're just going to keep picking hardliners. We can't keep killing them. But the other thing too is, and I agree with Joe Kent's point on this, is he said that he thinks Trump's looking for an off-ramp, and I don't doubt it. My point is taking that island that they're talking about taking is a bad thing. That's a Restrepo moment. If they put boots on the ground on that island, all Iran's going to do is start hounding them with drones, and it's going to turn into a bloodbath. It's going to be a slaughter. I'm not saying that we're not going to kill them, but I think that we have to look at Israel and say, look, we're not fighting this war. We'll destroy it. We'll set Israel or Iran back. And I think we need to find a good leader, and we need to endorse them.
And it needs to be structured well, it's in the way of a regime change, not like in a regime change and constant support for the next 20 years,
Yeah, the issue is whether it's going to end up being regime change, like where we screwed them up, or is this going to be a regime change we can finally make work? You know, I mean, Gary, you've been around for a long time. What do you think on that?
Well, that's the thing. As I was sitting there, studying up for this, I was looking at, okay, wait a minute. So I remember in '89 is when we took out Noriega out of Panama, and later on, it was much later, but I remember when Gaddafi, he was still making issues with Reagan in the '80s. But we finally got rid of Gaddafi. We've gotten rid of Saddam Hussein. We've gotten rid of Bin Laden, and then now just recently Maduro, and now the Ayatollahs. So we got no problem getting rid of leaders. It's just like what happens after that is where we put exactly there doing good.
You got to replace that vacuum with somebody else.
Yeah, and another thing even takes you guys back, and this is even before my time technically, but I read the history books. We took out Cuba, but we installed Castro. So now look where we're at. We didn't do a good job there either.
Well, the bad thing is a lot of people don't understand the history books. With Iran, is we took out their original leader and put a hardliner in us in Europe. We did that in the 80s or 90s.
70s. It was the 70s. Right?
70s? Okay. Yeah.
70s, yeah.
But
yeah, we got our hands in the pot too much too, man.
Yeah, I mean, look at what we did with Afghanistan. We had Hamid Karzai. He was the guy that he was all right.
Right.
He was also, I knew a guy. He was a CH-47 pilot, and he used to fly Karzai around. He's got selfies with him in the cockpit and stuff like that. But the deal is that, okay, you're only going to be here until, you can do free elections, and then it'll be whoever. And look at who's in there in charge of Afghanistan now. So that didn't work real well. But that's the hard thing.
Yeah.
We try to say democracy, freedom, and all that, but then, how can you say that it's going to be democracy and freedom when, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you got these, whatever they are, the mullahs. Yeah, the mullahs or whoever that keep these guys in charge, and we don't like any of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what it boils down to. It boils down to a culture issue. You know what I mean? Like if you have the Gulf states, which I love, which are still kingdoms, so they still have a queen. They're what is it? An autocracy. They're autocracies, but they work. You know what I'm saying? But they work because you don't have like different levels of the population. Those countries are so rich, they import their workers. So like everyone who's a Kuwaiti or who's a whatever, they're all, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no lower class of society. And Iran is kind of a first world country. They have a legit, they're legit. We're not going to war with another Afghanistan, So, but that kind of leads me into the second thing is, okay, so the question is this 4D chess from Trump that all the freaking memes are made about? Did he do Venezuela to cut off this, to do this, to move 3 steps ahead, to see your grandmother go take a piss tomorrow, and then all to go to war with Iran for some great plan? I don't know. But my initial...
Oh, go ahead. My bad. Go. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead. Let's hear what you think first, because I want to hear what you two guys think. And then all
right. So what I see is like, he's a businessman, right? And so like I do think that he's thinking farther ahead, right? Or planning a lot farther ahead than these places are ready for. And I think everything he does with intention, right? When it comes to like these things that are happening now, right? Like Venezuela, right? That was no accident. Like it was done in less than 2 hours, dude. And then we have all that oil now, all those barrels of oil. Oh, they gifted us these things. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Like, oh, Iran just, like it's going to be, I don't know, because he's a businessman, he's surrounded by tons of strategists, right? And so, like,
Right.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Is it going to be successful? Who knows, man? Like, I mean, honestly, you can give it your best shot. And if your best shot is thinking 4 steps ahead of everybody, I mean, that's better, but I really just do worry, man, because I'm not, this world doesn't need to be any more, violence against each other, Why can't we all just get along,
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Gary? What's your consensus?
Yeah, I can kind of tell you, put on my, strategic intel officer hat here for a second. But, taking out, I think that it was a plan. And I think that this is 4D chess. If not, the Chinese have this game called Go, if you've ever played it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're playing. So, taking out, he knew that he wanted to take out Iran, but because of the nuclear threat and the missiles threat and things like that. But he knew that, hey, if I do this, it's going to raise the price of oil, which is exactly what happened. So by taking out Venezuela first, he actually lowered the price. So, if he hadn't taken out Venezuela, man, imagine what the price of gas would be right now. It'd been a lot worse. But the other thing is that now I saw this, did a news clip on him today where he's actually saying, hey, we don't need this oil. He's made the claim that we've got more oil right now than Saudi Arabia does. And he says we're fixing to get more. And Iran, being at the negotiating table, they've actually said, hey, we'll, quote unquote, apologize. But they're gifting him. I think the last count I think they said was it was like 10 tankers that they said they would allow to go through the strait. But Trump's the one sitting there saying, we don't need it. And the rest of the world is who's dependent upon this oil, not us, which is why they should have come to the table and offered, some sort of resources to help secure the strait.
Right.
But the last thing I was going to say is looking at the, intel is always a deal where the commander wants to know, so what? What's the next thing? And I think this is where it ties back into China, because he's fixing to go meet with Xi Jinping again. And of course, by taking out Venezuela and taking out Iran, that's, China and Russia are the two that are really dependent upon that. So he's actually increased his negotiation power by doing that.
That's true.
So now, the question is, when he goes to talk to China, what is he going to talk to him about? Is he going to talk to him about Taiwan, or, is there going to be something else? I don't know, but he knows he's got a plan, and all the smart people there with him are, helping advise him. Over.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think the whole Taiwan thing, because here's the thing. People don't realize how important Taiwan is. NVIDIA, the company, chip manufacturing is the future right now, and it is a national security risk. Now, the question is was Venezuela part of that before? Was the Venezuela thing part of that as a plan before? But you do have to take into context, Trump's never liked Venezuela, because during his first administration is when there's a documentary on Amazon. They hatched this plan. The CIA hired, this is all alleged, hired a military contractor who went down to Venezuela and tried to do a regime change and got caught. I don't know if y'all seen, there's a whole damn documentary on it. And so that was failed during Trump's failed that was a failed attempt during his first administration. So I don't know. The question is this, was that take two of something, an old grudge? I don't know, but I do know that I'm gonna tell you right now, Japan gets 80% or 90% of its goods through the Straits of Hormuz. So the problem is this hold up right now? I mean, are we gonna have to do like a DMZ in the Straits of Hormuz? Is that what's about to have to happen? I don't know. But but the other thing is Gary, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I've seen stuff saying that that Iran said that they're not communicating with Trump at all, that he's just lying. Now, I'm not saying he's lying, but Trump's got caught lying because the tomahawk that hit the school when they first did strikes, I've seen the evidence, that was one of our tomahawks. So, and now the question is, did Trump lie about it, or did he just say, no, it wasn't ours, and somebody should have told him beforehand and he just really didn't know? I don't know. But what I got to say is the administration, I'm like, look, show us evidence. And I'm kind of that way with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that they don't always have to. There's lots of stuff that I seen and can't talk about, but like it was the same thing of when Bush 2 said we're going into Iraq and we're going to be getting rid of these chemical weapons, and everybody said, oh well, we never found any, and all I'm going to say is that we were tracking those things. We kept seeing them move west. And several years later, Syria starts gassing their own people. Wondering where they got those chemical weapons from.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm in the whole thing that two things can be true at once. I say this on almost every single podcast, and I'm like, two things can be true at once. Like, I hate that people can't just put their common sense cap on and go, take Fox News, take CNN, minus them from each other, and the truth is whatever falls on the floor left. You know what I mean? Like, all the bullshit, all the drama, all that, it's like the truth is there. It's just what's in common. Don't look at what's opposite. Look what they talk about the self.
Also gotta do your own research on it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because all that news is propaganda. So
yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. The thing about what you said about Trump negotiating with Iran is that you got to understand. Look at the state of Iran right now. You got these diplomats that he probably is talking to. But the real question is that do those diplomats that he's talking to really have the ability to, carry through on any promises that they make? And we know that the IGRC or IRGC are the ones who are really kind of running things. So we don't know that the IRGC is actually having communications with the diplomats because, if we have any, other intel signalers and stuff like that out there, the old saying is, break, squelch, and die. If you break, squelch, we're going to know where you're at, and tomahawks are coming in. So they're hiding.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. And I forgot because I think when Joe Kent talked to Sean Ryan, I'd listened to that episode, and I think that's what they were talking about is they're scared. Anybody's scared to officially talk to Trump because either Israel's going to kill you or, you know what I mean? Like, so if you
find a way.
Yeah, I mean, they had the whole damn pager thing, and that was at a convenience.
Think of how long. And actually execute. That's crazy.
Real. Oh yeah, and the thing is that's where they're talking about who's in charge. Trying to figure that out. And the thing that Trump the way they did this. Okay, real quick for those that may not know, you've got. If it's an army operation, it's just combined arms, tanks, infantry, artillery, stuff like that. If you add another branch of the service, it's called joint operations. If you add another country in there, it becomes what's called coalition operations. So we had just basically Israel and us, but Israel's the one who really went after and decapitated the leadership, and they had huge hard on to do it. Our effort has been more on going after the nuclear and the missile technology, stuff like that. So the UN is like, somebody trying to come up there and say, oh, well, this was done illegally. Trump can say, oh, we didn't do that. That was Israel. And they go after Israel, and Israel says, oh, we didn't do that. That was the U.S.
Oh, yeah. So it's going to be a game of he said, she said. Yeah. I mean, my thing is I get it. I know we went after all the military hardware, and Israel's really been nailing the leadership down. But I don't think that even if if Israel didn't want to do this war and we did, if Israel wanted to do it and we didn't, Israel couldn't. They can do strikes. Israel's great at intelligence. Israel's great at certain things, but they don't have the military hardware, like the hold. Yeah, they don't to execute an air war like we've been having for the last couple of weeks. Shit, no, no way. You know, so.
Yeah, and now the situation is, it's like when we first went into Afghanistan and we started blowing shit up, it wasn't very long, and the Air Force generals started going back to the commanders saying, "Sir, we've run out of targets to use our big bombs on, because it's like, I'm not going to spend a $2 million JDAM to take out this little hut."
Right.
And so it's kind of the same thing now. We've got to the point to where we've got them scattered. And so the ones that are now still operating, are kind of doing it like in different cells versus, unified command and control and everything. And they know it's like, if some of you guys that ever fired the M47 Dragon, old Dragon, as soon as you pull the trigger, you're giving away your position because of the huge backblast. So it's same thing every time now. If Iran wants to shoot something, shoot at a tanker or a boat, some other kind of boat that's out in the water, or even fire a missile at a plane that's going over, they just gave away their position, and we're going to be, counterfire on it and take it out really quick.
Yeah. I mean, also, too, I heard on a show the other day, and I'm pretty sure this is true because I know a little bit about it, is we were intercepting their drones with Patriot missiles. And so the thing is like they're using like a $20,000 drone, and we're intercepting it with like $1 million Patriot missile. And so it's like we're outspending them like 200 to 1. Iran can do that all day. And the same thing was true in Afghanistan and Iraq. And you both know this from personal experience, is that like we would see an IED emplacer who's got a $5 shovel and a damn $10 IED that's made out of damn fertilizer, and we blow him up with a $300,000 GBU. You know what I'm saying? Like, holy shit, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, there's the old saying was called the spoils of war, but we've pretty much got into that age of where we want to take out their military, their infrastructure, whatever it is, but then we don't want to take all their stuff because we want them to keep it so they can rebuild.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's what I don't want. I don't want us to obliterate Iran, and this is the last thing I'm going to say on it. I'm going to move on to the next one. So what I don't want is to obliterate Iran to where we blow them back into the Stone Age, and now Iran becomes a hub of Islamic extremism, one, out of spite, and two, out of the fact that the motherfuckers don't have any infrastructure to rebuild, so it just turns into Afghanistan 2.0. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's how we got ISIS.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we bombed Syria. I know there's much more to that. Gary, what's you might know this. How did ISIS start?
Oh, well, let's see. Keep it unclassified here, but I'll tell you that my last deployment, so I was at G2 for a logistics unit, and so, not very glamorous or anything like that. We were at Kuwait at Arif John. I had a commander comes up and says, "Hey, I got this intel product from, I think it was one of the brigades from the Big Red One, which was up there at Camp Buring." And so their S2 shop put out something, and we looked at that product and said, okay, nothing against them, not taking anything away from them, but what they'd done was they took the J2's morning brief and then they put their own comments on it and republished it. And so everybody thought, oh, that was outstanding. So I talked to my soldiers in the G2 shop. I said, guys, Let's show them what an Intel product that we can produce. And so I said, what do you think about, let's map out the Al Qaeda network on the Arabian Peninsula. And but I had a really smart group of NCOs, and one of them looked at me and said, "Sir, that's a little bit too big for us, but let's see if we can map it out." And so part of any Intel person who's worth their salt will tell you that you have to be able to say, we used to call it, putting your bars on the line, and say, "Sir, this is what's going to happen," and if I'm wrong, then, fire me. And so many, Intel officers wouldn't do that. They would just say, "This is what's happened. What are your questions?" And it's like, you didn't help the commander out. But anyways, sticking to the point is, they said, this was in 13-14 time frame.
Okay.
They said, "Sir, what's going to happen is that they don't care about a country. They want to establish a caliphate."
Right.
So that's exactly what they ended up doing over in eastern Syria and northwestern Iraq. That's the thing that makes me so mad today within the Intel community, is because you've got divisions inside of that as well. We put that out. We tried to send it on up, and obviously it never went anywhere, because what we said was going to happen is exactly what happened. So
yeah, I mean, if you put out a report about it in 13-14, yeah, bro, you were ahead of the game, because I mean, you were what, a year and a half ahead.
Yep.
That's wild.
And that was all my soldiers. That wasn't me. That was, they're the smart ones.
Yeah, that's a sign of a good officer right there, giving his boys credit. Hell yeah, I like that.
I always told them, I said, when I was a battalion commander, I always told everybody, I said, "I'm just the guy who's going to hold the umbrella, keep the crap off of you guys, so you guys can do what you need to do."
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, that was me as a sergeant. When I became a sergeant, I told my junior enlisted guys, I was like, "Listen, all I do is take beatings from up above, and then I just shield as much bullshit as I can shield." So I was like, if you're doing bullshit, you're doing bullshit because it's some of the bullshit that I have to let through. You know what I mean? And like, I used to tell guys, like, I've been in your position, bro. Like, I try to make it better for everybody. So yeah. But all right, so the next thing I want to cover is technology. So anyway, I don't know if any of y'all have been interested in, we were talking about AI earlier in the show. The people listening to the podcast might hear me and Hitman, because I hit record pretty early. But anyway, so I've been using AI, but here's the thing, like, dude, guys, is like, you can use this shit for like anything, bro. Like, I downloaded these agents they're talking about and like vibe coded. I made like a whole dashboard. I don't know anything about a computer. I had to ask AI, I'm like, how do I do this? And it's like, open this, do this. But like, I made like a whole dashboard with like all my health stuff, everything, and like all kinds of shit. And like yeah, man. And like, I'm having it build me a product for a business for stuff. And so like, the thing is get on the train early, because this is something that this will become the norm. So the thing is like, you want to get on it early and adopt it and learn it. Like, this is like, don't be the old man and be like, this is gay. Like, I really think that it can help you. So like, even if you just here's what you could do. Just go to any of the AIs and ask it. This is what I tell people who ask me, like, they're like, "I don't know anything about it. How do I use it?" Go to one of them. You don't have to give it details, like personal details, but just be like, "Hey, here's my life. This is what I do for a living. This is like, I live, you know what I'm saying? These are all the things I do. How can you help me?" And it will start spitting shit out. And I think that's a great thing, dude. Gary, you said you use, I don't know. You said you use Grok. I mean, like, what do you use it for? Search engine, or are you like actually doing stuff?
It's like, the AIs, you got to start looking at the AIs like people, okay? Because like, you've got your Microsoft Copilot, and so it's really good about like what you were just describing for business, and say, "Hey, how do I do this in Excel?" And it'll start going into classes on Excel or Word or PowerPoint or whatever, But like Grok, I use that. I'm a paying member to use Grok because I have conversations with him. I'll just sit him at my desk sometimes and just start saying stuff and in voice mode and have full conversations, which is really cool. But I use it both at my work right now. We do a lot of stuff with government contracts and stuff like that. So,
okay.
We'll have the cores, the contract officer representatives. They'll send me stuff, and I have to then look at it, and I copy it, I paste it. We actually have our own that we use because we'll talk about that real quick. The thing about an AI is that you want to be careful about your what we call PII, personally identifiable information. Don't put in your social, your birthday, mother's maiden name, all that kind of stuff in there, because you got to make sure that that stuff's not going to get leaked somewhere. Because I don't want to tell Grok something because then now I know Elon Musk has got it. So.
Yeah, on a server somewhere. Yeah, that is a good.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I'll take it and I'll copy it, I'll paste it in there, and I'll say, make this more concise. And boom, so this 5-paragraph thing turns into a 1-paragraph thing, and that's what we'll actually use to send it up. But the thing is that it looks like Hitman's on hold. But
no, I think he
went through
he hit a bad spot. Yeah.
But anyway, the thing is about it is that as tie the two things together here is like anybody who's gone and got their top secret clearance knows that you got to fill out this form. You got to say where all you lived the last 7 years, who was your second grade school teacher, and who was your neighbor when you were in 5th grade, and they actually send people and talk to all those folks. But now you have an AI. How do you do a background check on an AI? So before you start giving them access to stuff, make sure that you're comfortable and do all your research. Over.
Yeah. And that's a great point. So like he brings up a great point. When I was talking about like vibe coding and like coding stuff, like the way I did it was I did so I have an agent who's connected to a cloud. So he's like the Anthropic, the cloud. So I'm going to get a little in the weeds here for people who are unaware. So what's up, dude? All right. So the way that I did it was to keep people from being able to do that is, so I got a cloud agent, and that cloud agent is in charge of everything on top. And then basically what happens is there are local agents on my computer that it's in charge of. And so all the work that it does, all the coding, all my personal information that it edits on my computer, it never goes back to the cloud. It all gets interchanged on the computer. And then on top of that, all the agents on the computer, they're local. So like I said, they're not. And then the last thing is for security, don't use. I don't know. I think it's Light LLM Cloud, or no, Open Cloud just got hit with that. But that's like really advanced shit. So for normal people, like that's not gonna make any sense. But yeah, but just using it. Yeah, what you been using it for, Hitman? What you use this shit for?
I like learning. I like learning, man. If I have a question, like I can talk to it, but like in a way that like it understands me and I understand it. It's like I'm learning like how to extract information better. I'm learning how to like get to the bottom of things. I'll use it if I'm having like a medical issue, and just like verify what I'm thinking, like because they're gonna diagnose you in certain, doctor unlock certain things. I do push it to its limits. Where it's like, hey man, I'm sorry, I can't do that, So like I kind of, I'm learning the system, dude. And for someone with a brain like mine, dude, it is the best thing I've had in a long time, dude. Just to be able to retrieve the information that I'm looking for,
Yeah. So the other thing that I did that I think, Gary, you might find this interesting, I made mine generate me a morning report. So every morning when I log in and I go to Claude, I hit good morning, and then it will give me the weather. It will give me 10 news stories from around the world from 5 right-leaning sources, 5 left-leaning sources. It covers OCONUS and INCONUS threats. And then if you keep going down the page, it gives me the stock prices, gold, like a couple things that I want. And then it is tied into my reminders list. So it gives me all my current reminders, and then it does that. And so it's a way that I can make my coffee. I can look over this report, and I think, Gary, you might be familiar with this. This is like a brief, basically. You were an officer, so that sounds like some shit y'all did.
Yeah, shift change brief at the talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. But I like that.
That's what I do, the same thing when my Alexas. I've got multiple Alexas in many rooms, and so when the alarm goes off, I'll tell her stop, and as soon as she stops, she gives me the weather, and then she goes and gives me the top deals off of Fox.
What's up?
I couldn't hear.
No, I think you're on a slight delay too. Okay. All right. The next thing, I got to keep this rolling because I'm going to end this here in a little bit. So, okay. All right. So there was a video that went viral the other day. I seen it all over X. So Gary, you might have seen it. Hitman, I'm not sure if you've seen it. I don't think you're on Facebook. So, okay, here we go. So there's a guy who has a show that covers people's finances, and basically what happened was he's had a bunch of veterans on. I think he targets veterans because it always goes viral. But there was a couple. Her husband was in the Navy for 2 years. He had some kind of shit. He got discharged. He got 100%. And so everybody's back to talking about this whole thing about VA disability. So I wanted to cover this because I want to say off the rip that I know VA disability is fraud, is in the system. There's no doubt about it. There's no system in this country that gives free money, or not free money. I'm not going to say that. I know people are going to get mad at me, but gives money to people that somebody hasn't gamed the system. I'm sorry. I've been through it. It took me 9 years to get the rating I wanted. And I'm going to tell you right now, the fight is real. But I will say that, like, in the end, I think it's something we need to look into, but there's way more fraud in this country that needs to be first before we look into the VA system. Hitman, what do you think? What's your consensus on this story?
Like you said, like there's fraud in all kinds of places, and like they're finding all that fraud in Minnesota, or Minnesota, right? All these other places. Like we definitely need to do a clean sweep. Yeah. And with the VA, man, like we know there's guys who are suffering, and that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about the guys who have no business claiming what they're claiming and getting the kind of benefits that they are. There's also guys within the system that are like, oh, hey, you guys want 100%? I'll give you 100%, and I'll give you 100%. And now we're all getting $10,000, and I added all these other things to it. There's a huge fraud thing with that. Bunch of veterans, that makes me sick, dude. The other guys,
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of got most of that, I think. But
yeah, there we got most of that. But all right, Gary,
Hitman, you can file for disability for your phone connection, I think. No, but I am actually still going through that fight myself, and I've seen exactly what you're talking about, both sides of it, because like when I first. The other thing that really sucks too is the reservists that might be listening, or watching this, is that we have a really crappy situation because they'll sit there and say, all right, well, when's the last time you got seen for this while you were active duty? Well, reservists, you get mobilized and you get a DD 214, and then you go back in reserves. Then you get mobilized again. When you get out, they give you another DD 214. So it's only the time period that your DD 214 is covered is what they count. And then what I found was, for any old timers that are listening, they'll be able to understand this too, because the system I remember in the early 2000s was MedPros. That was the new system that they were saying all your medical records are now digitized and stuff. But then they kept saying that those of us who ran in the early 90s, everything was paper, and they kept saying it's going to get digitized. Well, it didn't. And so now you're in that situation of, and then I found out, I dug into it some more, and they said, oh, well, yeah. So you went to the TMC, the Troop Medical Clinic, to go see this, run by the Mid Platoon or something like that. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, those didn't get uploaded. It's only the stuff that if you actually went saw some actual doctor at the hospital on post or something like that. So, my records, I go in there and I look at them, and, because we were always told, hey, you're hurt, walk it off, So, yeah. Guys like me got out, and we've got like this really, really thin medical file. And then guys who were, we always used to call the sick call rangers that, never went to the field and stuff like that. But they get out, and they're the ones that are, boom, 100% automatically, because they've got like a, war and peace type book full of medical records. So,
yeah, I mean, the problem, and I said this on X, so I'm going to say this publicly on this podcast, is that there's two sides to this story. Okay, I think that the real threat is that the companies that you can basically pay and get DBQs from. But the problem is it's a double-edged sword, because if you allow those, then you basically allow somebody to go out and pay for somebody to give you a medical opinion. And I'm sorry, but I really don't believe half these companies are not going to be honest and look at what you have to say and be like, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to let him pay. They're going to take your fucking money and they're going to write you a DBQ, and then it's not going to line up with, you know what I'm saying? And then I have literally had multiple DBQ doctors in the last couple of years tell me, oh, you did the real job. Like, they looked at my job in my MOS and literally said, oh, you did the real job. Like, you were infantry, you deployed to combat. And I'm like, wow, if they're making offhand comments to me like that, I can't imagine what they're seeing. And be that as it may, the issue is if you let those companies exist, you're going to have people who do that. If you don't let those companies exist, there's people like you, Gary. There's Vietnam vets who, like you said, have a thin paper record, and they need all the help they can get. And this is a leg up for you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and one thing I'll also say though is that a lot of times the VA's got to still look at it internally, because myself, I'm trying to use somebody who can help me navigate these waters too, because the free service, what do they call him, VSO?
VSO?
Yeah, the VSOs, they're supposed to help you get claims filed and stuff like that. Some of them are good, some of them are crappy. So the crappy ones are the ones. Yeah. The crappy ones, though, are the reasons why guys will say, well, I got to go pay some other company to do this, where, if they had a VSO that was worth their salt, they could save their money.
Yeah. Hitman, what you got to say on this?
Man, I think with the, I believe, you sign your line, you sign your name on the dotted line, man. You put in the time, and something comes of it where you're able to receive some sort of disability compensation. I believe each person should get the highest for their disability. We all know that if there's these guys out there shooting for 100, why? That's the part where it's weird. Not everybody's disability is going to be 100. How can you be like, oh, we're giving everybody 100? That's not how it works, man. And like you said, they're taking money away.
Well, the issue is, that's a culture issue, man. Like, I literally know 2 guys who recently got out of the Marine Corps not long after I got out, and both of them, when they got out, they were like, yeah, I already got all my medical shit done. I'm getting that 100, dog. And I'm like, and I'm not going to talk shit about neither of those guys. One of those guys deployed multiple times around the world. The other guy never deployed and never finished his 4 years. And it's like, okay, I will just, out of being a man, like, I just want to say, okay, I believe both of you. But like, I can clearly look at one and go, he wants to game the system. And like, the problem is you're always going to have those people, and that's fine. But then you also got guys I got a guy who's still in the military that tells me that like these young kids are joining, and because they've seen everything about disability online, they're already hooking their shit up like from day one. And it's like, bro, when I joined, I didn't know about VA disability until my last 30 days at my TAPS class. And I was like, hold on, we can get what? And so, yeah.
Like when we served, 2011, like there was such a huge surge of patriotism, like true patriotism in this nation. And now all these young kids, those guys have been in for like 7 years, and they never saw anything 9/11 because they were born after. So with their patriotism, it's in like questioning everything, and like that's cool, but not great in the military, And so like, yeah, people try, like the younger generation doesn't have the same kind of patriotic spirit. We were in it to go and do it.
Yeah.
How these soldiers and airmen and Navy and sailors are Marines, like that's. I'm not gonna speak on the Marines because that's you guys got that. But, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like we've seen those. There's some cartoons I saw a long time ago, where it's like, they show the top frame is, World War II, all right, guys, we'll take this hill. And they're like, hooah, let's go, lead the way, follow me, all that kind of stuff. And it says, and then it, fast forward to like 1995, and it says, all right, let's take this hill. And it's like, sorry, I'm on profile. Oh, no, sorry, I'm just here for the college money, and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's true, man. Like, and especially after Iraq and Afghanistan ended, everything's winding down. So these kids coming out of college are like, Trump's up there. He's like, no more foreign wars. And that was another betrayal I felt, was when I was like, okay, Trump was like, no more foreign wars. And then we elect him and he's like, bam, Venezuela, bam, Iran. I'm like, come on, motherfucker. Like, you said you wasn't getting involved. And here we are, like, double fisting conflicts right now on the other side of hemisphere. But
let me put a different perspective on it though, saying that, hey, we're not going to get involved. But what I will argue that when it comes to Iran, we've been involved for the past 30 years, and so it's basically though now. I'm personally glad that we've got somebody who's going to say, you know what, we're going to rip off the Band-Aid. We're tired of, kicking the can down the road like's been going on for the past 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, when I see, that's how I feel when, like, what I just said is how I feel when I'm just overall with everything. But like, when I look at it logically, yes. I mean, you remember Obama's red line? Don't do it. Don't cross this red line. Iran fucking crossed the red line, and then Obama sent him millions of dollars for some fucking buyout, like.
It's that old Bugs Bunny cartoon where he says, I dare you to step over this line. He stepped over the line. He says, okay, now I dare you to step over the next one. And the next one. And the next one.
Yeah.
Or like the Three Stooges. I dare you to step over this line. And then they didn't. And then Curly goes, now you're on my side.
Yeah, no shit. But yeah. Okay, so that was all right. And then to tie AI into the VA thing, apparently they want AI to look at VA claims, and a lot of people are mad about that. Hey, look, man, like, if it makes the shit go faster, and like I said it the other day because somebody was really worried about that, and they were like, fuck that, dog, AI shouldn't be making. I was like, listen, if you don't have enough faith in your disability that you will say yes, I will say hell yeah, let AI look at my shit, because you know what, it's going to rate me exactly the same that the person did. If you give it access to all of them, you tell it the rules, if you're confident that you pass the fucking rules, then you got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, dumb algorithm. Yeah, all the people putting their hands in the pot and messing everything up. Yeah, Vietnam veterans who've been trying to get their disability for 20 years, like nonstop. Like that'd be done, man, and it'd be so much better in so many ways.
Well,
Yeah.
the other thing is I'll throw in there too is I think that the VA, because they got used to be Senator Collins, now he's the secretary, and the thing that's the part that aggravates me is I see all the posts on X about. Hey, I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona, and he's at a VA hospital and stuff, and he's always talking about, hey, we're getting more and more medical services available to veterans and stuff like that, and that's all a true statement. But the problem is that, dude, you got to be rated service connected before you can get those type of connections, and it's the claims department that's what's killing us. And I think that they'll look at that internally and say, okay, there's this guy, he filed a claim and we said denied. Well, then he filed a request for higher level review and it got denied again. Now he's filing another appeal and it's still and then finally they say, okay, it's approved. Well, how much time and effort and are we paying people to say no, that should have been, you would have saved more if you just said, yeah, let him start receiving disability. Over.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be honest, the way I look at it, dude, is I don't know about you. If you said you were using AI a little bit, dude, I used AI like for my last claim because I had kind of gotten into it, and I like asked it all this stuff, and it was like, yeah, dude, you'll get approved, like everything's legit. And you know what they did? They denied that. So I was like, well, hell, AI would have gave it to me because AI was talking about how great it was, and it wasn't like I had it. I was like, dude, go study it, look at the chances, look at this, and it was like, if you do this and add this and do this, you'll get it. And no, VA full stop denied that shit.
That's what's funny is that now what we're seeing is that we're using AI to submit the claims and then AI is reviewing it. So AI is reviewing AI.
Yeah. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about is health. Okay. So, I know I put peptides on here only because like I take peptides, but anyway, and Hitman is joining the show for the 5th time tonight, right here at the end, if it works. I agree with Gary. Hitman needs a disability for his cell phone connection.
They're free veteran cell phones, dog. I've seen them.
All right, so health. Hitman, what are you doing for your health?
Some things I've accepted, man. Like I'm doing a lot, man. First, like I'm, the states are going at it, and like a lot of veterans organizations are going at it, where they're starting to support like ibogaine or ayahuasca or exploring different things that are like a much stronger experience, but a much bigger payoff for a lot less. We're not putting our bodies. I got a stem cell treatment, man. Like the first 3 days were a living hell. My body feels so much better, dude. And like it's just get treatments until it works, and then you keep going. Like it helps, and you gotta like look for these things because there's so many opportunities out there for anyone, right? This is not if you look for it, if you want to heal, if you're ready to heal, if you're ready to close the door on certain things, if you're ready to close the door on your drinking or smoking, ibogaine, all that stuff, man. This is great stuff for our combat veterans, our veterans who have suffered from a lot of those things. I love it, dude.
Well, so my question to you is, last time we talked, you said you had like some serious you had like a serious autoimmune issue or something, some kind of issue that was like really fucking you up. So is the stem cell, is it working?
I'll put it this way. I expected nothing. They said, we've never gotten less than 30% better, right? I was like, if I get 10% better, I'll be all right. I was pretty terrified because the first 3 days after that, dude, was the worst physical pain I've ever felt in my entire life. And then on the 4th day, I woke up, no pain, dude. And I could feel it working throughout my body. Just kind of working on it. It's starting to die down because it's been about a month now. But and so it's like, it's revived my own stem cells. Some things that didn't help, some things that didn't. My mind has been so clear lately. It is terrifying because it's so quiet, man. I'm like, I need more chaos. Like, put it back, put it back, put it back. You know, but like brain injury take so much of my brain injury stuff, man. I wasn't expecting anything. So like getting all this is amazing. And I feel 100% better than I used to feel. Maybe not all of it.
Shit, yeah.
Like all the pains I feel now are like old man pains. You know, they're like, oh, well, this is gonna hurt for a couple of days, but that's because I did that, and that's normal. It doesn't feel like a pain. It's like, you know, when is this ever gonna end? You know, it's not like that. So I can appreciate. I love it. I've been able to work harder and accomplish more things. I'm going through a lot of stuff in my life, and just having that weight lifted off my chest has made it so I can keep a solid head and just do what I need to do to get through it, man. And it you know, like I said, anyone can look up and find these things. There's so many opportunities available, especially for veterans, especially for combat veterans. You gotta want it, you know. Sometimes it takes a little time, but it works to get into these programs.
Yeah. Okay, Gary, what about you? What you got anything going on the health side? Man, I always like to ask, you know, what are veterans doing for their health? Like I found out I had low T numbers a while back. I've been taking peptides, bump those numbers up, you know, stuff like that. You know, just taking care of yourself, and you know, because we degrade as we get older, and all of us are, especially as GWAT vets. You're older than we are, but you know, like we're all getting up there in age. So, like, do you got anything special you're doing that would help some people out?
The main thing I'm trying to do now is the meditation and stuff. Because the problem is that, you know, like my last deployment, you know, of course, everybody who's been on deployment, you know, if you've been in a pogue base, I call it, you know, like Airf John, you know, that was like Club Med, you know, compared to, you know, being way down range. But you know, you get that deployment body, you know, and then when you get back home, it's like, man, I need to go for a run. No, not today. You know, or I need to go to the gym. Not today. But you know, trying to do that, but for me, it's like, you know, just me personally, it's the mental side is more of the part that I'm trying to work on, and that's where, you know, the trying to do meditation. I know that a lot of times it just like, you know, it's like that last Thor movie. He says, "Oh yeah, I tried it," but you know, maybe even more angry.
Yeah.
But you know, then you know, I'm also hoping that Texas will get on the bandwagon and finally, you know, legalize you know, marijuana and stuff. Because I know the lots of veterans that, like the ones up in Oklahoma where it's legal, you know, they're like, yeah, man, I'm using this stuff and it really helps. And so, you know, I can go to the local vape store here and get the stuff that's, you know, the minuscule, you know, legally, you know, allowable stuff. But, you know, I'm kind of like that, that show Breaking Bad, you know, where the guy was this chemical engineer stuff. So I'm kind of going from the other direction too, of trying to say, okay, you know, the marijuana, it's like there's the THC and then there's the CBD. But, you know, the CBD is the stuff that really, really helps that, you know, whereas the THC is the stuff that'll, you know, get you buzzing and stuff like that. But so I'm trying to, you know, do my own experimentation there to see what works based on, you know, talking to other veterans as well until it's available.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, like, I was a big fan of THC. It really helped me stop drinking. Like, I was focused way too much on the bottle. The THC kind of like, I don't do as much of it. Plus I got like serious back issues. So like, but yeah, like, I mean, yeah, dude, like, and like he was talking about, Hitman was saying Ibogaine, like, they want to legalize that in Texas. I think they're talking to people about it, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. On the psychedelic side, I've tried a little bit, and I don't know about that, man. I think I'm gonna stick with
the thing about anything that's psychotropic, psychedelic, whatever you want to call it, is, you know, it's just like, you know, same thing that happens when you get drunk on alcohol or something like that, is you can forget about it, but you're going to come down and it's still going to be there. And
yeah.
you could have actually made it worse. So, you know, it's better to, pick up that phone and call your battle buddy and say, hey, this is what's going on. And, try to deal with it instead of trying to escape from reality and then get slammed right back into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I like. That's what I tell guys all the time. It's like, it doesn't matter how much you can smoke all the weed you want. You can drink all the beer you want, but the next day you wake up, you can mainline whatever. But at the end of the day, like when you go back to life, bro, work's going to suck just as bad, if not worse, because you're hungover the next day. Like it doesn't make life any easier,
Exactly. And then, it's like, you're doing that and it's affecting you. But, when you go into those states, then, the person that, hopefully you've got somebody in your life that's with you and loves you and all that. And, your relationship with them is potentially going to suffer as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that was the thing. Like, Hitman said, it was cool being on, but his service sucks, so he's out.
Right.
Anyway, so I just want to say thanks for Hitman coming on. I know people are probably gonna be like, I can't believe he was driving. I knew he was driving. Gary, I wasn't sure if you were gonna come on, so I was like, fuck it, Hitman's gonna come on. Plus, dude's been going through some shit. I'm not gonna get into his personal details, but I was like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, man, like that's my whole thing is like you have to look at it in like a way where you're just like, okay, like what improves my life? Like I'll add, like, you know what I'm saying? Like if things like alcohol or whatever, like if you just got to find like if you can use something like that and use it responsibly, or i.e. or like marijuana, ibogaine, psychedelics, if they improve your life or add something to without hurting you, it's fine. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like people are like, well, I just don't want to get back. Like, look, if you touch a drop of alcohol, you're going to go off the deep end, then don't. But like, if you can be responsible, use it responsibly. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah. Do it. If you're going to do it, do it at home where, hey, if you pass out and, throw up all over the place, it's like, okay, you're not having to get in your car and drive home or call an Uber to get you home or something like that. Just be smart about it. And again, that's why I say, having a battle buddies there, they're not like George Thorogood, going, I drink alone and all by myself.
Yeah. And I know you probably got some stories, bro, because I stalked your podcast. So for those of you who are listening to this podcast and don't know, Gary is going to be on in a couple of episodes. It won't be next week. I know we're recording next week, but it's not going to be next week because I got another episode or two that's going to come out before that. But we're going to get your full, full 2 hours on here. But, yeah, dude, do you have a podcast or do you just do other things?
It's one of those things. I was, I'm always watching the ones going like, hey, yeah, I'd love to be on Joe Rogan, hey, I'd love to be on, be a Fox News contributor or something like that. But, so they said that, hey, if you're going to do that, you gotta, get established, with podcasts. So it's like, hey, this is great for me here.
Yeah, man. Like you're good. Your cadence is great. Your audio is great. You sound, I don't know what setup you got to do, but it's pretty slick. It sounds good.
Just an old Samsung phone.
Yeah,
I got better signal than Hitman. So.
Yeah, no, his signal's garbage. But like the thing is when I first started this, like all my guests are going to be remote. Like obviously I have a mic because I'm the host, right? And I try to be professional. But like when I was reading about it, they were like, dude, if you use the right software, a phone has one of the best mics as long as the AI in the background can take out all the noise. And so like the program I use, Riverside, it does a good job on that. But yeah, so I didn't know if you had anything to promote, but well, if there's anybody out here that wants to have a guy on that if you heard what he said in the beginning, his stuff, like shit, hit him up. Garrett, what's your X profile? Do you have an X profile?
Yes, I do. It's got a name to it, so I have to go look that up.
Oh shit!
It won't. It'll be just a second.
Yeah. Since this is on X, I figure I'll find you and tag you in it.
Yeah, I think if I'm reading it right, it says @ Gary Don. Don's my middle name. Gary Don 71. It's all together, no spaces.
Gary Don. DON? That one? Oh, okay. I like Gary Don.
I don't know if it matters. It says capital G, capital D, but anyway, that's
I don't think it matters.
okay.
Okay. All right. So the next episode, since it's on here because AI obviously put it off. Okay. So the next episode, I'm going to talk about me and a buddy of mine from the wings. So this is not going to be a combat guy. I want to do a couple different episodes. I want to kind of see how the listeners take it. I want to do some different things. Like me and Gary are still going to sit down. We're going to tell his whole story. We're going to talk about all that. And then we're going to have some more. I'll have a more deep dive on like his opinions on like some out of country things, since he did some intelligence work and it's like a super smart guy. So we'll get a little bit more of him. But I want to talk to this guy. We're going to talk about some of the big veteran stories. For example, what was the movie? What was the movie, Gary? Damn it. God dang it. What was the movie about the guy who Operation Red Wings? What was that movie?
Red Wings?
Yeah, the one where all the SEALs got killed in the helicopter crash and the guy was in Afghanistan in the mountains, and it's played by
Lone Survivor.
Yeah, Lone Survivor. So this is like the stories with like him and Kennedy, Tim Kennedy, like basically all these guys that wrote all these books, and they like got big in the veteran community, and then it comes out that like a lot of their stuff just isn't true, and it is being backed by, and it's terrible. And I just kind of want to cover some of that stuff, and me and homeboy are going to talk, and I've known this guy a long time, and I kind of wanted to talk to him about it. And it's terrible, and it gives the veteran community a bad name, but you know, some people are still listening to these people, and they don't know that some of the stuff just didn't line up, you know.
Stolen valor.
Yeah. And the problem is you can't like full stop be like it's stolen valor, like, you know what I'm saying, because they were there. Like I mean, some of these guys, like, they seen legitimate combat, but it's like the whole Tim Kennedy thing. It's like, you've seen legit combat. Your story would have been cool if you'd have just told it how it really happened. Like, you didn't have to say I had 31 grenades in a backpack, dude. Like, that's just crazy.
The embellishment, because that's what there's different kinds. There's like some guys that'll just, embellish their story to make it bigger than what it was, and then there's other guys that are like, oh yeah, come to find out they, got med dropped in basic, but
right. Yeah. Now I'm good with toasting the people that just full stop stole valor. But like the stories that are exaggerated is kind of some of the stuff I wanted to talk about, because it's just like, it's crazy, man. Like, it's like, I don't know if these guys just like watch Hollywood movies and they're like, I'm writing this book. I was a Green Beret. It was a great story. But instead they're just like adding stuff in. And it's like, why, bro? Like, you were the badass. But it just goes to show that even the badasses apparently don't feel badass enough. So,
well, and that's a good point, though, because it kind of goes back into talking about veteran and their own, mental well-being, is because there's some individuals where it's like they've got to, talk themselves up, so that people will like them. They really, really want that what's the word that they're using, that affirmation from other people, whereas there's some guys that I know that, I could, say, hey, man, this guy right here, he's a badass, but he tell you about it. You would never know.
Yeah. And that happened to me, man. Like, joined a motorcycle club for I was kind of doing some hanging around, and there was a guy who was super quiet, and one day, like, I was talking to one of the other guys, and they were like, yeah, dude, he was 3'5" and singing, bro. Like, that guy, like, it's got like 2 Purple Hearts. And I was like, holy fuck, what? Like, no, why didn't nobody tell me? They knew I was a Marine, and they're like, he got super drunk one night and talked about it a little bit, but he don't talk about it. Yeah.
I kind of, started having experience with that. Like, as I was growing up, my uncle, he was a Vietnam vet, but he never talked about it until actually I went through RTC, and I'd been in for a while. And then he started, he always used to joke with me every time I'd see him. He'd say, "Hey, how you doing there, Lieutenant? That's okay. You don't have to salute me." He got out as an E. Well, back then they had Spec 5s still.
Yeah.
But that's what he got out as. But he finally started, telling me some stories about, Vietnam and stuff. And he was a counter mortar radar specialist, so it wasn't like, he was kicking doors or anything, but it was still some stories. But then, and then when I got into high school, I had a chemistry teacher, and for a couple of years, and never knew till he saw some photos over there on his desk. He was a Vietnam vet, So, but some guys don't talk about it, and it's not because it's like, oh, there's something traumatic happened, and so they can't talk. They don't want to talk about it. It's just that they just don't feel the need to bring it up.
Right. Yeah. Like I do. Like if I see like a guy in Ace Hardware wearing like a Vietnam vet hat, I'll go up to him and be like, "Thank you for your service." And then like, I don't know how they know, but like I'll almost half the time they'll be like, "Did you serve?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was Marine Corps, for 8 years." And then we'll just get to chit chatting, and like, it's great because they wear that hat all the time. But like very few people approach them about it. And like when they find somebody who knows, like, if you know kind of thing. And they're like, "Oh man, like I got to get all this stuff." And like my wife hates it because every time she'll be standing there and walk around the store 4 times. And she's like, "Damn, when are you going to shut up?
We've got to go."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Gary. So for those of you listening, it was been awesome, dude. Thanks to Hitman for coming on. Sorry that his audio sucked. I don't know it's going to be that bad. But Gary, we're going to be recording next week, right? And then we'll do a full episode on that and hear everything about you. And but thanks for coming on, dude.
Hey, appreciate it. Enjoy it.
All right, dude. Well, I appreciate it.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad, chip on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back, I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps. I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me, ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact, give me one shot and I'll never get the throne back. I'm sick of being cautious, I'ma go cause something, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's lane, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. Taste the pain, it's like candy canes. It makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame, yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad,